Hello, everyone. This is Carla from the Learn English by Speaking English show. No, this isn't the Learn English by Speaking English show. This is Rehan Allahwala's World of Connections. And give me one moment. Okay, it's all ready. This is Rehan Allahwala's World of Connections, and I am here today to talk to Imran Lodhi, who is from, I'll tell you what city because I just forgot, but he's a really nice guy, and we're going to get to know about him. We're going to know about his work, his life, and his passions. And I believe he lives near Lahore, but I kind of got that a little confused. He will let us know. And remember, this show, like all of my shows, is sponsored by the Institute of Peace, which is an online organization promoting peace one conversation at a time. Imran, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Carla, for having me. I'm Imran Lodhi, and I'm a lecturer at a university in Dera Ghazi Khan, which is a district of Pakistan. I'm here since last 10 years. I've been working here. I have been to Thailand for my PhD, which is about to complete. I hope I will be getting doctorate very soon. And as a working, I would say I am working as a teacher, a researcher, and these are kind of professional life. But I'm more into my passions than about my work. So partly, I love to make teams. I love to make work in teams, and for that, I have been since my student life. I have been into different student platforms. I was elected as student union president in 2015. I have also represented faculty at different forums and also participated in national and international conferences related to my work. And I would thank you also and Rehan for being for inviting me in a learning session here. And I would love to learn from you and Rehan.
I, I, this is a time for me to learn from you. And let's start off easily. Where were you born?
I was born in my current city where I'm working, Dera Ghazi Khan. It's a city not very near, but it is in Punjab, and the famous city of Punjab is Lahore. So it's near to Lahore, you can call it. And I was born in 1985. It was a time when the current Prime Minister of Pakistan, he was at that time he was a sportsman. He's also named as Imran Khan. So so my grandmother actually named me after him because that was his career peak. So that's quite coincidence, and I got that name too.
Can you mute yourself, please? And okay, you were born in that city. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, We are two brothers, one elder brother and two younger sisters. Uh, Except one sister, all are married, having their own personal lives. My brother is doing his business, and two of my sisters, they are household women, and one she's working in a private company. So that's my small family. But I'm also married, so my wife is also my colleague. She's working in the same university where I'm working as lecturer, and we have a 2 years daughter named Ushna. So our life most of the time surrounds around being parent and around my daughter.
2 years old, that is a very busy time for you. Uh, um, tell me a little. Do you live in a joint family or do you live separately at this point?
I have been in a joint family in my childhood. I have lived in a joint family, but since I'm working now in the city, in the university, so I have to live away from my birthplace, which is a village. Uh, so that's why my real family is living in that village, but I have to move to the city for working here in the university. So for present, I'm living in a you can say nuclear family with my wife and daughter, but my parents often visit me.
Do you go to visit your village often?
Yeah, I used to go there, and I'm quite connected there with the people there. I used to help them. I used to guide some of the young students who want to get admission to different universities or colleges because I'm related to education sector. So often I have to guide people who are coming from my village to ask me something.
What do you teach?
I'm teaching economics and within economics, I used to teach Pakistan economy and environmental economics, which is also my major subject when I come to PhD. The research area is also very similar.
So, how much longer do you have for your PhD to be finished?
It's almost done because I have my last progress last month with my advisor, and my committee was quite, I would say, they were happy that I would be finishing soon. They have sent my thesis to an external supervisor for evaluation. So once I get back that comments from my external supervisor, then I will be submitting my final thesis and defending my thesis. So it should not take more than 2 months.
And you've been doing it for how many years?
It's a long story. So I would say almost around 6 years. Um, People used to say that don't ask a PhD student how many years because there are so many things we have to tackle.
Yes, I've heard that many times. I have enough credits to have a PhD, but I never finished it because exactly what you're talking about. Um, but let's talk about your PhD. What area of economics have you been studying?
It's more about behavioral economics because I'm studying the farmer's perception. I belong to a rural area initially, and I have a very close contact with the farmers, with the villagers. So I wanted to work in that particular area. So my research actually focuses farmers' behavior, how they behave under changing climate, how they perceive things, and how their perception differ from actual scientific reality.
What made you decide to be interested in this? What was your passion that got you there?
Partly because of my exposure to the agriculture sector. My father was also a farmer, and I have seen that phenomena very closely. And I have seen like we are an agricultural country. Pakistan, in fact, is an agricultural country still, but we have not progressed a lot. So I was trying to explore what are the hindrances, where are the problems. So my preferred area is human, like it's human behavior which can do anything. So that's what I decided, that I have to be looking into people, how they want to see things, or how they are doing things, or how they must be doing things in order to change things.
Okay, so tell me a little about the research you've been doing and where it has taken you in your journey in understanding of Pakistan and economics in Pakistan.
Okay, Carla, I will try to make it as brief as possible. That first of the thing is that
Oh, you don't need to be brief. Talk about it. This is your passion.
okay.
This is what the interview is all about. It's about you and what you want to offer to the world. So go ahead.
Okay, so starting with the first thing, that climate change, it's a very alien kind of a phenomena when it comes to developing countries, because people don't think it's important for them to understand. People don't consider it. Even at the policy level, now things are getting better, but at individual level, people are not very interested in talking about climate change. So, but climate change, we know that it is affecting developing countries even more than the developed countries. So it is quite intriguing to see how it impacts. So I have done my literature review, and I see that Pakistan is among the top 15, sometimes some years it comes to top 10, sometimes it comes to top 15, top 20 countries who have to be most affected by the worst impacts of climate change. So this thing actually compelled me to see how farmers perceive, because agriculture sector is that particular area which is directly affected by the climate change. If a slight change of temperature or precipitation occurs at critical stages of crops, farmers have to bear the consequences. So we have to look into what actually things make them perceive things and make things happen, how they make their decisions about what crop they have to be choosing, what technique they should be using. Do they consider climate change, or are they aware that how much climate is changing? So these were the few questions that I started with. And when I come to data, I took it from different cities of Punjab, and I tried to analyze it. I make different analogies and different comparisons, and I found very interesting things that would be quite good to know. One thing, that this climate change phenomena is quite clear. We have observed clear trends of increase in temperature. I took 30 years of data from 19 probably 80 to 2015, 2016 time series data. And this data predicts that the temperature in Pakistan is increasing. Whether we see it month on month, whether we see it year on year, the average temperature in Pakistan is increasing. That was obvious and very clear. And it is also very comparable when we see other studies within Pakistan and around other countries which are related to Pakistan, like India, Nepal, Bangladesh, these countries. The similar pattern is also observed there. But when it comes to precipitation, I mean the rainfall, uh, the things becomes quite clumsy here, because we see that farmers sometimes when there are heavy spells of rainfall, and it's quite for the very short term, but they perceive that the rainfall was greater. That's what have happened. That rainfall over time has squeezed in time but increased in frequency, so leading to floods and leading to conditions unbearable for the farmers. So Pakistan, more recently, if we see in the last decade, Pakistan have faced many severe floods in 2010, 2011, 2012, then 2014. We have seen massive floods in Pakistan, riverine floods. So these things can continue because climate change is gonna melt glaciers, increase the river flow in the summer times, creating flooding conditions. But farmers, they have a very mixed opinion about that. Sometimes when they are facing droughts, they think the rainfall has decreased. And whenever there is an increased spell of rainfall, they think that the rainfall has increased. So farmers' perception, when I compared that perception uh, related to temperature and rainfall with the actual climate data that I collected from the meteorological stations of Pakistan, I compared them, how farmers perceive that temperature has increased or decreased, and how real-time data say it. Then similarly, I see how farmers perceive rainfall, whether increased or decreased, and how the real-time data explains it. Actually, what data reflects what was happened, whether rainfall was increased or decreased. So for temperature, the farmer's perception was in line with the real data. So the real climate data and farmer's perception, they were on the same page. But when we see the rainfall, the climate data reflects that there was no significant change in overall rainfall. We measure it on annual basis in millimeters. But when we see that farmers, they sometimes say that rainfall has increased in some districts, and some districts they say the rainfall has decreased. So that's partly where this thing comes, that farmers perceive things differently than the real thing, and then they will be taking decisions which should be according to their perception, not according to the data. So these decisions will be costing them their real money, their real investment, because they will be taking measures according to their perception, which is not accurate when it comes to real data. So this was first compelling conclusion that I have made, that this thing must be addressed. Then there were some other secondary things that I have tried to engage in, that there was shortening of seasons, especially winter season. I wrote a paper, journal paper. It was published in an impact factor, very good journal. And I reported there that the winter season in Pakistan is getting shrunk. It is shrinking over time. And the summer season is expanding. It's expanding from its boundaries. Usually it ends by the end of August or early September, but nowadays the temperatures are higher even in September and even higher during the months of March when compared over 30 years of data. So this is one thing, that the temperatures and the rainfall, these things look at overall seasonal level, that Pakistan will be losing some of its season because every summer and winter is bridged by spring or autumn season. So expanding summer means losing spring and autumn seasons, which is also the beauty of Pakistani economy. Now, how it will affect? Now we know that there are around 85 or something, no, it's about 65% of Pakistani exports. They are directly linked with the agriculture sector. So if we are unable to make agriculture sector better, this will affect our exports. So export is a very integral part of any economy. So apart from that, there are other things that we have to consider. Some of the signs, early signs are already apparent. We can see them. Pakistan imported cotton this year. Pakistan imported wheat probably last year or a year before. So Pakistan was supposed to be food self-sufficient. Pakistan was supposed to be an exporter of cotton crop and cotton related products. But because of these pressures, these natural climate pressures, and farmers with lack of, I would say, awareness and guidance, they are not able to make good decisions about their crops. So this thing at a large scale, this is not an individual industry or one particular firm. It's a whole sector, which is also the base of all industrial base of Pakistan. Pakistan has not been able to make its, um, I would say, the heavy or large scale manufacturing industries. We are primarily depends upon the agro-based industries. We are exporting textiles, we're exporting leather products, we're exporting similar, which also depends on agriculture. So this is the point that we consider climate change as a potential threat for our agriculture, for our farmers, and we have to believe that still there are more than 40% of Pakistani workforce engaged in agriculture sector. So if that sector is affected badly due to climate change, we have to be facing the consequences of in the form of poverty, in the form of community disintegrations and other social issues that could arise from that. So this is quite brief about the research I have been doing it, and I hope if you have something specific to further ask, I would put it on.
Okay. Now, Rehan Allahwala is very concerned about the commerce in Pakistan and developing the community of Pakistan to be more affluent. You gave a very sad picture, the climate change.
Yeah,
What can we do to what can be done to improve that issue? So, you know, I don't believe that I believe Pakistan has an issue with climate change. The world does. But how can we overcome it and move forward? Is that part of your research and your interest?
yeah. It was not directly part of the thesis or the research, but while doing all these things, I have been reading a lot of literature, so I can say what I have perceived from literature and other things. That what can be done is that Pakistan have to get out of the box of I would say we have stopped learning. We have made things very rigid. We are onto status quo. We are not ready to go out of our comfort zone. That's true for individual and also as a community behavior. And that's why I am inspired by Rehan because he is doing things which are not quite generally, I would say, orthodox. It's very unorthodox. And I personally feel that what Rehan is doing and few other good guys in Pakistan, they're trying to make people believe they don't have to wait for somebody. They have to come up with ideas. They have to come up with their actions. and they can change their own world and the world around them. So the process is on the way. I would say, although it's a quite pessimist, but the formal way of dealing things is not working as it should do, because formal sector has a lot of resources, a lot of consultancies, they have resources, minds, but they are not ready to go out of their boxes. So if Pakistan have to change itself, if Pakistani farmer have to change the results in its favor, then they have to think that out of the box. I have seen Rehan visiting some of the agricultural farms in Punjab quite recently, and I was inspired that few people were doing gardens, like they were having gardens of certain fruits. They were having some very good local-made technologies. So that's in the process. We are onto it, but quite late. But I hope we will make it. If the formal sector adopts this too, this journey will be quite smoother and quite earlier than it should be.
First of all, don't call it quite right because it's just exactly how it's supposed to be. Accept it as it is. Because unless we accept things as they are, it's really difficult to make those changes. What kind of changes do you want to see by Pakistani farmers to improve the situation? Can you maybe list one or two ideas, maybe three ideas that would be helpful in changing this mindset in Pakistan to a more affluent mindset?
Uh, Building teams and working with the teams. And I also think that farmers need to be united, to be working in teams rather than individual farmers. Because over time, because of the law of inheritance, Pakistan's land size has reduced. A farmer in 1970 may have a 100-acre farm, and from economics point of view, we say it was quite economically feasible to adopt new technologies, to adopt heavy machineries for that farm. But now, after 50 years, that farm has shrunk to just about 5 to 10 acres of land. So a farmer who had five uh, kids, that land transferred to those, then they have further few more kids. So now they have a very small piece of land, and they have very little space to innovate on that, because a combine harvester or a similar new technology that is being used in many other countries, if we want to use that, we have to have a very large farm size. So farmers, if they team up into like 10 farmers of 10 acre, that makes them 100 acres of a farm. So they can hire some of the technology on their own, and this will also help them to enjoy the economies of scale. So they can get the inputs in bulk so that they can get the lesser price from the market. So this thing can help them initially sustain what they are doing. Otherwise, the general pattern is a lot of people, they are exiting the agriculture sector. They're working in other informal sectors of the economy. But if we want to make our agriculture strong, this is the only way. We help farmers make their communities, make their teams, and help them to work in teams in order to get better at the market, get better at the competition in agriculture sector. So this thing I think can be quite helpful.
The idea of team building intrigues me. How do you want people to build their teams? It's a great idea.
Teams generally are built around either mutual benefits or they are built around mutual passions. I'm saying the benefits and passions can be different. Sometimes we skip our benefit if it's our passion. And in agriculture sector, the very similar rule should apply because every farmer will be benefited when they get team up. So if we prove them, which is possible, that if they team up, their collective benefits will increasing their individual gains from that teams also. The only thing lacking is uh, the awareness that peace with themselves and with their team members. So we have to make them quite tolerant. We have to make them how to accept others' viewpoint, and that's a big thing. But we can start it somewhere.
Are you excited about your research and what your research will bring to the world, to Pakistan, and ultimately to the world?
You're talking about my research, okay? So what I say that if for Pakistan, it's very relevant. I have also sent a copy of that conclusions to some of the institutes which are working in the policy sectors. Uh, I have suggested some of the specific measures that should be taken, like we have to increase the climate sensitivity among not only among the farmers but also among the people who have to guide them, like the extension workers from agriculture sector, like the bureaucracy who have to make decisions on the part of farmers. So they must be sensitive when it comes to climate related issues. So once they are sensitized, a planned campaign can be launched which will make farmers more sensitized about climate and help them to consider that factor whenever they are making their decisions about the agriculture sector. This is something very specific that my research can contribute for Pakistan.
Excellent. It sounds very cool. Um, do you have anything else you would like to add to this at the moment?
Um, once I finish my PhD, I will be. I have a lot of other ideas very related to this research that I will be doing. So for now, I am just trying to finish up the work that I am doing. So once I'm done, I will be doing some few more interesting things on a very similar path.
What are some of your ideas that you want to work on?
Principally, it should be related with the behavior uh, that how we are making decisions. It's not always right. The framework that within which we are making decisions, it is affected by so many things. Whether our ideas are flexible or they are fixed, whether we are ready to take an external view of uh, the thing we are dealing with. So it's more about the behavioral economics, how the behaviors and psychology should be working. Yeah, I'll just find it out. I'll just find it out what particularly I'll be doing. But I have so many scattered ideas for now, but I want to make it very clear very soon.
Very cool. Do you have any last words that you want to tell the world before we go off air?
Yeah, a few more things that I wanted to add. First thing is that I'm here because I thought that I have been left out, and I was into that particular status quo That the nature of my job demands I have to be doing this thing, academia, and kind of a little bit research. But the way I'm communicating to you, this part was missing, and I wanted to add that part in my life, that where I'm dealing with people uh, from different cultures and with different backgrounds. I'm talking to them, I'm learning from them. I felt for last few years I boxed myself and I was not quite open to learning. So I would say Rehan has been my inspiration for that. He's always open for learning, whether he's from learning from a kid or a very elder person from him. So that thing I have adopted very soon. And what I felt, it's it's a general problem with so many other people like me that whenever we get something, we get a title or something, a professor, a lecturer, or something like that, we don't look new things. So we just follow that same track. So it's always okay to see new things. We have to be dealing with our ego. That's the thing that actually create barriers for learning. If we deal with our ego better, we can keep our learning path very straight. This thing I realized because I'm a traveler. I travel with my wife on a motorbike, and I travel across Pakistan, and I meet uh, all the new people from different cultures within Pakistan. I try to record them. So these are some of my passions. And as far as my life goals are concerned, I'm very clear about that. I want to be financially free very soon, probably in the next 10 years. And by that, I should be able to do what I want to do without any pressure. I don't want to stuck with the formal jobs and quite being as a dependent. It should be my choice, rather it should be enforced upon me. And then I wanted to travel all the way across different world, meet interesting people like Carla and so many others, and come back and tell my daughter interesting stories from around the world. Thank you, Carla. This is what I have to say.
You say you want to travel the world, and you say, I will do this in the future. Why don't you think about doing it right now and adding it to your life now? Learning happens, our journey happens every day and every moment. Why are you limiting it to the future and not now?
Yeah, I have been to some countries. While I was in Thailand, I explored it. I have been to Malaysia. I have been to Vietnam, Sri Lanka. Uh, but because of my nature of job, it's not very easy to visit other countries quite often. So first thing first, that I wanted to make it my choice. So if I have to travel all the way to any country, the only option nowadays is that I have to be going for a research paper, doing it in a conference, and then move there because recreational trips are very rarely allowed in our jobs.
I'm talking about your mindset. Your mindset is in the future. Why don't you make it right now? Because the past is gone. You can't do anything about even what you said 2 minutes ago. And the future, you don't know where it's going. So why not begin enjoying right now?
Yeah, I am completely into it. I will never miss any opportunity that help me travel. I'm already traveling within the country, but now I am focusing that at least once a year I have to be traveling few countries. That's into my priority list already, but the only thing is about the feasibility.
Okay, I want to thank you for speaking with me tonight. I know it's very late in Pakistan and we had some issues getting this together. Thank you for talking to me. I want to thank Rehan Allahwala and the Institute of Peace for funding this. And I will be back with more interviews, actually, one later tonight, to speak with everyone, everyone about their life, their work, and their passions. And Imran, do you have anything else you want to put in there before I go off air?
I just want to thank you, Carla and Rehan. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, Imran. And let's wave goodbye. And people, please subscribe to Gigglefest University on YouTube. Let's wave goodbye, please, Imran. Bye bye.